One of the most controversial figures of our age is undoubtedly Donald Trump, right? You might love him or you might hate him, but you cannot deny that he has been successful. He's been a business mogul, he's been a reality TV star, and he's been president twice. So, it's worth investigating what is his mindset, what makes him tick, what are the strategies that he uses in life to get what he wants. And this is what that video is about. It's about the top 10 lessons that you can learn from the book, The Art of the Deal. Now, this is a book that he wrote decades ago, long before he ran for president, and it illustrates some of his thinking, some of the reasons why he does what he does, both in his personal life and as president. So I found it highly illustrative. So let's go right into it. These are the top 10 big ideas from that book. Number one is to think big, right? Donald Trump is a person who does think big. Nobody would have guessed that he would become president. I guess The Simpsons maybe predicted it, but nobody thought it was serious. A lot of people don't even think he thought it was serious. Nonetheless, he was able to take a huge risk in running for president. He was able to make outlandish claims while doing so. And because of that, he won. And if you look at his recent trade tariffs, right, he defied all expectations. Right? Most people thought what he's doing is crazy. They think he's going to blow up the economy. Yet he presses forward. Why? Because he's thinking on a wider scope than most people. He's willing to take those risks. On the other hand, most people, they aim low, right? They set their standards very low, and predictably, they get low results. So when you have small goals, you get those small results, which is fine if you want to have a small life. But if you're going to invest time and energy into something, why not invest time and energy into huge astronomical goals that most people would roll their eyes at? That way, at least if you get halfway there, or even a quarter of the way there, you are still ahead of most people who set small goals for themselves. So again, if you're going to invest time and energy into something, make it something massive. The next lesson is to protect your downside. Now, the world rewards risk takers, not people who are overly cautious. But you have to be smart, right? You have to take risks in a smart way, and you have to have a backup plan. Now, most people fail because they don't have a backup plan. They put all their eggs in one basket, and maybe there's a 50% chance they succeed, but there's also a 50% chance that they fail. And if they fail, they have no other recourse. They have no other options. So you always need to save and preserve some options for yourself. So take calculated risks, right? You definitely need to take risks in life. You need to put yourself out there, but you need to have a backup plan. Like something I do anytime I set up a first date is I always have something else in mind that I could do. If the girl flakes for whatever reason, that's okay. I'm not going to be upset because I have something else to do. I already know what it is. I know I'm not even going to wait more than 15 minutes. Probably won't even wait 5 minutes. I will know exactly what I'm going to do if she flakes, doesn't show up, whatever. And this takes any sort of pressure off me for this date to go well, for her to show up. I'm not concerned in the slightest. Why? Because I've protected my downside. I've hedged against the worst plausible outcome. The next lesson you can learn is that leverage is king. Now, most people, they enter into a negotiation from a place of weakness. They want something, but they have very little to offer. Trump uses leverage as the ultimate weapon. He knows exactly what other people want. He knows what they need, and he's willing to withhold it to get what he wants. So Trump knows that the person with the most options and knowledge and patience usually wins. So Trump is a very patient person who preserves knowledge and maintains his options. This is how he often gets what he wants. So in your life, you can apply this as well. Make sure you keep your options open. Be patient in terms of making deals. Don't jump the gun. Don't settle for less. Be willing to wait for the other person to cave. And Make sure that you have knowledge about what the other person wants, what they need. Make sure you're the person who can provide it. Make sure you're the person who can withhold it if necessary. And you will apply maximum pressure to get what you want. The next lesson from Donald Trump is to know your market. Very similar. Most people rely on assumptions. You need to do the opposite. You need to make educated guesses. You need to have hypotheses and test them. Now, most people, they just kind of assume something, and when it's wrong, they kind of put their shoulders up and they're like, oh, well, I guess I was wrong. But this is a poor way to go through life, right? You need to not be brain dead. You need to have an idea of what something might be, but you must not be fixated on that idea. You must be willing to test it. You must see if you are correct or right or not. Better yet, before you go into a deal, before you go into a room, you should study the details. You should know what you're walking into. So don't just wing it. Don't just go for it. Instead, learn where and when to strike. It's like going into a boxing match, right? Without any training. Like, you think you're just going to see red and then you're somehow going to win this boxing match. That's never how it works. The person with the most training, most skill, the most instinctive reflex geared towards this specific sport will win every single time. So know what you are doing, train, learn the market before you strike. Number 5 is to use momentum. Now, losers usually stop after the first win. They get a small victory and that pumps their ego, and they don't want to suffer the rejection, suffer the pain of losing after that. So they get the small victory, they stop, and then that's it. That was their life. On the other hand, winners use momentum. They use a small success to build more success. Now, you can do this with business, right? If you are a freelancer, you can get a small win. You can help a client build their business, get a testimonial from them, get an even better client that's paying you more, get that win, use the testimonial, and so on and so on. What you don't want to do is you don't want to just stay at that one level with that first client. You need to be building momentum. You need to be getting a cycle of bigger and bigger wins. Don't settle for the small victory. So momentum is why some people dominate and why others fade away. Momentum allows you to continue an upward cycle. On the other hand, when you don't use momentum, when you get a victory and you stop, then you have to build the momentum all over again. It's like getting a heavy ball rolling. It takes a lot of energy to get it to start moving. And then once you have got it start moving, it's easy to continue. But on the other hand, if you get it to move and then you stop and you let it come to rest, and then you try to get it to move again, you are constantly battling against inertia. So use the momentum to keep going. Number 6 is to always overdeliver. People expect mediocrity. Trump, on the other hand, makes sure to exceed expectations. He goes all out. The best marketing is a kind of reputation where people know that you will please them. The best marketing is where people chase you because of your reputation. So how you do this is you underpromise, you overdeliver. So you go all out to make sure your clients are extremely pleased, and then you use their pleasure, their testimonial, to feed your reputation so that you can get better clients. But again, you can only do this if you do over deliver, if you do what you promise and a little bit more. So pay attention to the details, pay attention to the small things that most people overlook. Make sure that those are taken care of so that you outshine all of your competition. Number 7 is to fight back hard. Now, weakness always invites more attacks. I think George Washington said it. Weakness is provocative. People like to pick on the little guy. It's just what it is. But there's one way that you can avoid this, and that is to fight back. If somebody punches you, punch them back hard. Don't just take it. Now, Trump believes that if somebody attacks you, you must fight back. If you don't, they will eat you alive. They will see that you are weak and they will take the rest of what you have. Now, you can apply this in any sort of situations, and anybody from the streets knows this. You cannot come across as an easy mark. You need to come across as somebody who is scary as fuck in certain situations. Now, most people, they don't do this. They'll just roll over. They will be the easy mark. You see this with leftists a lot. They go into their bad neighborhood and they think that they think Jamal is going to recognize the kindness in their hearts and their woke political opinions, and that's somehow going to spare them from harm. It doesn't, right? You're better off served looking like a juiced out meathead neo-Nazi walking into the hood than you are looking like a bearded barista fake and gay leftist, right? One's going to get jumped. They're going to have their wallet taken. The other's going to get out alive. So it is what it is. But people respect strength, right? Everybody knows this. Look what happened to Libya. They gave up their nuclear weapons and they got overthrown. Didn't happen in North Korea. Why? Because North Korea refused to give up nuclear weapons. So in all situations, you must have the metaphorical nuclear weapons. You must refuse to give them away. So train your body, train your mind to become strong so that people will not take advantage of you. And if somebody does attack you, you must fight back. There's either two things you can do. You can either completely ignore it because they're beneath you, or you can fight back. Now, if they're above you, if they're the same level, you should probably fight back. You should probably not just roll over, because otherwise people will just assume you're weak. They'll assume the other person was right. So anytime you're entering business, anytime you're entering a dangerous situation, make yourself a threat. Number 8 is to control the narrative. Now, Trump mastered media long before social media. And we all know Trump's reputation on Twitter, right? Mr. Mean Tweets. He has a very unique style that garners attention. Nobody can necessarily, it's very difficult to replicate his style of writing because it is so unique. And it does capture attention so well. Now, most people hope to be noticed. Trump makes sure that he is noticed. Everything about him is larger than life, whether it's the orange skin, the hair, the smile, the way that he talks, the way that he moves. Trump understands that the game in large part is about attention. And moreover, it's about controlling the narrative. It's about setting the tone, setting the frame. Now, somebody's going to set the tone. They're going to set the frame. And if it's not you, it will be somebody else. So you better make sure that you are out there, that you are setting the tone for how you want people to perceive you. Otherwise, they're just going to form their own idea in their own head, and it might not be favorable to you. Worst yet, other people might be spreading gossip about you. They might be setting the tone about you. They might be setting the frame about you, and it probably won't be in your favor. So make sure that you are controlling the narrative whenever possible, whether that means writing, publishing on social media, controlling how you look, these sorts of things. Make sure you're mindful about it. Number 9 is to adapt. Now, Trump knows that the world is a very nuanced place. You can speak in absolutes, that's fine, but you must understand that there is nuance in the world. So things very rarely go 100% as planned, right? No war was ever won according to a plan, as the saying goes. So most failures happen because people are dead set on a single way. They have this business plan in mind and they're not willing to adjust when things don't go according to plan. They stick to the plan and they give up the goal. They stick to the method rather than the end. So this is a sure route to failure. On another video, I'm going to talk about this, but there was a samurai, and he had this famous quote that there is more than one way up the mountain. Yes, the top of the mountain is the goal. However, don't get fixated on a single route to the top. Some routes might be quicker, some routes might be easier, some routes might be more interesting, and some routes are undoubtedly more difficult. But understand there is more than one route to the top of the mountain. So Trump understands this. He stays flexible. Even though he might speak in absolutes, he might speak in this bombastic way, he's always willing to cut a deal. So rigidity typically kills success. So if you want to be successful, you must stay flexible. And the top lesson is to simply have fun. The people who do have fun in what they do are going to do it for longer. They're going to do it harder. They're going to actually enjoy it rather than drag their feet into the office every single day. So the winners love to play the game. The losers, the people who hate the game, they just give up. So when you love the game and you love what you do, then it's much more likely that you're going to persevere and that you're going to succeed. So if you don't enjoy the chase, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, then you're probably doing the wrong thing. And this doesn't mean you have to love it all the time, right? It might be a rule of the third sort of thing, where a third of the time it's great, a third of the time it's okay, and a third of the time it kind of sucks. But at least if you have that third of the time when it's great, when you really look forward to it, then you know you're on the right track. Right? If it's just all drudgery, you're not going to be able to stick to the path. There are going to be people who do enjoy it, who are going to easily surpass you because they enjoy doing so. They enjoy walking. The person who enjoys walking goes a lot further than the person who enjoys sitting on their ass. So make sure whatever you're doing, you at least enjoy it to some degree. Find the joy in what you're doing, and you will do it much better. And there's one bonus lesson. It's to play the long game. So most people have very short-term goals. They chase quick wins. Trump, on the other hand, will play the game for decades. He'll set very long timelines for when he wants to achieve his goals. So the lesson here is that short-term thinkers, they often get short-term results. Winners, on the other hand, they think long-term and they build empires that last decades or centuries. So if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, leave a like, subscribe. It really helps me build my channel. If you want even more hard-hitting info, practical psychology, and wisdom, then I implore you to subscribe to my Substack. Every single week, I talk about a different mental model that helps people become successful. I break down strategies of influence, practical psychology, and more. And if you have anything else to add about Trump, if you love him or hate him, please leave a comment and I will talk to you soon.